Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday night edition of End the Simpademic. I'm your host, Danny DeVito, and I am here to talk about a subject that I've been seeing a lot of on social media reasonably recently, but I've never done it myself, and those are singles events or singles mixers. More common in larger cities, and of course, I don't live in a very large city. I live in the commuter shed of a large metro area, but so immediately to my local area, they're not going to be very common. However, I see a lot of these videos out there, women going to singles events looking for men, and the complaint seems to be the same thing as usual, which is why do the women so heavily outnumber the men at these events? And the answer is very simple. I've talked about hypergamy before as far as women is concerned, single women, and this is probably the driving factor behind the imbalance. Most of us men don't bother with these events because we know, and they know that 80% of the women at these events are going to be targeting the top 10 to 20% of men. And in the business world, as well as the poker world, which I'm familiar with both, we look at a concept called ROI, or return on investment. The return on investment with those particular numbers and those particular odds for single men at these events, unless we know that we happen to fall. And even if we do fall in the top 10 or 20% of desirable ones, if you're in that particular group, every day is a singles event for you. You don't have to pay the money to go to these things. And because every day is a singles event for those types of men, for the Chads and the Tyrones of the world. They have women throwing themselves at them every single day. And so for those of us that are not in that top tier group, we'd be paying to go to an event to get either rejected or even at the most extreme end, falsely accused of harassment, never mind that it's supposed to be a dating event. And therefore any such accusations hold absolutely no water. But, I've heard them call sometimes an organized Me Too event. And that is sometimes accurate, not always, but sometimes accurate. But even then, we're going there to be judged by a whole bunch of women who are not necessarily top tier themselves, but they feel like they are entitled to something that they maybe not necessarily are. Because those top 20% of men are not at these singles events. They are grabbing all of the top tier women hand over fist. And so I've never been to one of these events, and I have no desire to go for this simple reason. It would be a waste of my time, a waste of my money, and just absolutely not worth it. And the return on investment is so weak on this, for those of us. Like I've said before on this channel, I am generously to describe myself as a 5. Some people have probably labeled me a little bit below that, and I'm okay with that. But I bring things to the table that a lot of these women don't particularly care for. I am a very tough survivor. I am a battler, and I have survived some of the most ludicrous and insane things that anybody has ever seen. And because I have that kind of energy to me, I can fight those battles for any woman who decides that I'm desirable. And so that's very simply what I bring to the table personally, and I think it's a huge thing to bring. But today's modern women do not see it that way, and I'm not going to entertain that possibility and pay money for the privilege of it. And so therefore I don't go to these events. I have no intention of ever going to these events. And these women are just trying to make things so easy on themselves. And they're looking for that particular top 20, 10 or 20% of men who are also not at these events, because why do they have to go? And so that's why, I've seen one lately where the women outnumber the men 35-8. If they're going for the top 10 to 12% of men, then all 35 of those women are going to be aiming for the same one or two men. And the other 6 or 7 are wasting their time. No thanks. Not interested. That's why would never do that. I will never attend one of those. I have no desire to do so. I don't even do singles groups, mixed groups in my church. I get more value out of the men's groups. I get more value out of those than I do out of the mixed company small groups that we have at my church, And I've grown tremendously, personally and spiritually, within some of these all male groups. And so my attitude, even within that particular context, is the same. Why would I go to a mixed group when a lot of the focus on those is not necessarily focused on growth in faith, and that's kind of what I try to get out of those types of activities and groups, is spiritual growth. And so I don't enjoy, or I don't intend on attending, mixed company mixers, or singles groups, or singles events in particular. And my recommendation is that if you're a man who is honestly looking for that, I'm not intentionally looking for that. I've already explained on this channel several times why. But that being the case, if you are, though, I would highly, highly discourage you from ever attending these types of events. Most men of any reasonable value have already opted out, as a lot of these videos have shown. So anyway, that is it for Thursday night and the Simpademic. Again, I'm your host, Danny DeVito, and off to watch football. So peace out. See you tomorrow.